Good evening, my beautiful butterflies and fly guys. Listen, we're coming to you on a Thursday night because we have a great discussion and we need to get right to it. So I'm not going to delay the discussion concerning Tamar Braxton's IG post in which she states that dressing the part is important in any aspect of life. She then goes on to say, not just when it comes to working, but when you're looking for a significant other, you have to step out looking presentable. I want to specifically get to the question, is she right? Are modern women changing the fashion game for the worst? That's our question tonight. I hope you're chimed in. We're ready to get to it. Are you ready, AB? All right, let's get it. Hit it. Yeah, in the building.
HeSpoke Fashion. I'm telling you, HeSpoke Fashion. I'm so bad. HeSpoke Fashion. I'm telling you, HeSpoke.
Okay!
All right. We're back. And listen, I want to take the time to thank you all for joining us. I know you have busy schedules, and so I don't take it for granted that you're joining us on tonight. I'm glad that you're, again, taking time out of your schedule to have this conversation. So let's get to it. As many of you are aware, Tamar Braxton recently made a post on IG that kind of ruffled some feathers. In today's society, anything that goes against the norm gets attention. or receives backlash, and there are times like this one when it receives both. Nevertheless, I am not certain if Tamar is actually deserving in this case of all the backlash that she is receiving online. So that is my reason for bringing this discussion to the HeSpoke Fashion platform, just to have a conversation with you. That's right, I want to talk to you about this. So if you didn't know it by now, this is HeSpoke Fashion, where we discuss women's fashion from a man's perspective. And I'm the host, Daylon Thomas. So it is fitting that we discuss Tamar's post. So in this post, she addressed her own dilemma in finding a man. And she, I believe, unintentionally made an offside comment concerning other women who also desire to, quote unquote, find a man. So I want to take the time tonight to dissect this post, because I believe there are certain things that we can use in order to do more help than harm. Of course, that is always the intent of this platform, although there may be times when the help may seem harsh. So let's take a look at that post. It says, whomever this is for, you talking about where my husband at, while you're out here looking like you at home. Then she says, anything worth having is worth an effort. Comb your hair, dust your face, and present yourself like a lady, and that you are ready. And then she says, that was for me, #sweatsuit queen. So on the onset of this post, it doesn't appear to me to be shady. I mean, at least for me. It seems to me as if she is trying to help those who follow her on IG. Again, she did use the #sweatsuit queen. That seems to appear that she's putting herself in this category of this post helping. But you know what? It's just like the devil to distort a message in order to make it seem like it's something that it is not.
Okay!
I hope for one that our community won't allow this to happen and then go on, as we always do, a plan to cancel Tamar. So listen, let's dissect this and let's see if her post simply has any merit. Of course, again, this is HeSpoke Fashion, where we discuss women's fashion from a man's perspective. And this is one conversation where I would say a man's perspective is important, since she makes her post about how to get a husband. So first of all, for me, it is important that a woman knows just what a man is looking for when looking to find his wife. Now, did you catch that? Did you catch that? I mean, all you women who are out here dropping to one knee, popping the question. Listen, of course, it is your prerogative, but please hear me out. Don't take that right away from a man. See, we know that you are a modern woman and that you can do just about anything. But listen, don't further emasculate a man by taking this from him. Okay, I digress. So I like Tamar. I like how she starts this post with whomever this is for, as an effort, I believe, to not point out any particular group of people, but at the same time acknowledging the intent is for those who are looking for a husband. So as we dissect the first part of this quote, let me tell you this. This next portion is deep. She says, you are talking about where my husband is at while you are out here looking like you at home. Now, this says a mouthful, right? Without saying a lot. It says a mouthful. See, this addresses just how far you should go with making comfort your priority. So I know that I've shared certain outfits that are comfortable, yet fashionable. But there is a limit to how far you should take it. She says, you out here looking like you at home. Now be honest. Come on, it's just us. Be honest. Have you ever witnessed this in person? Someone who you say, I wouldn't dare come outside looking like that. But yet here they are standing right in front of you in line. Tell me, what comes to your mind when you see a person like that? Do you think perhaps that person is going through something? Or do you think, like most of us, they should know better than that? Come on. They should know better than that. Look at that. Okay, we've talked about the bonnets. But let's get a comment here. Let's see what they're saying about this. Intricately Tangled says, my mom would say, even if you don't have the latest fashion, at least look clean with no rollers or scarves on your head when you go out. You don't know who you might meet. And I would say that's true. You don't know who you might meet. Let's look at another. Omar B says, makes me think back to high school. Back in those days at Hillcrest in Queens, even the teenage Russian girls used to dress and make themselves look great. They will always say the same thing. My grandmother says, you never know when you're going to meet your husband. Different level of upbringing and pride. Wow. So this person, Omar, is alluding to Russian girls, even back in high school, were concerned about how they presented themselves. Point to be noted. Let's look at another comment. Iron Sword Savant says they had a great upbringing if their grandmas taught them a great lesson like that. Men don't want women that don't display themselves with dignity, virtue, intelligence, and honor in every way. That's why most men aren't getting married anymore. Now let's ask that question. Is that a true statement that most men aren't getting married anymore? And could this be the reason? Let's read another comment. Now, this is funny. Divine Polo says, if Monique told sisters to stop wearing bonnets and they threw shade at her, watch Tamar get that same treatment just for speaking facts. Now, some of you may not think that she's speaking facts here, and that's your opinion. But again, I really want to dissect this because I think that Tamar's attempt is to do more help than harm. Let's read another comment. It simply says this. Ilrizak GG says, the funniest part about the bonnet gang is 9 times out of 10, it is not even their real hair they are covering. Now I would say that if they paid for it, they said that's their hair. So, but that's a funny story, right? That's a funny comment. So let me tell you, Tamar is walking really heavy, in my opinion, in this post. She now turns to a statement that I believe should be on a t-shirt as a reminder to us all. Let's look at that quote. Yes, it simply says, everything worth having is worth the effort. Everything worth having is worth the effort. So listen, effort is defined as a vigorous or determined attempt. See, to be fashionable, it takes effort. And if having the husband, the career, the job, the relationship is what you desire, listen, my beautiful butterflies, it is simply going to take an effort. Now, I know someone is going to challenge me when I say this because You think, like so many people, that the best things in life are free. You think that. And I will counter that, however, with although it may be free to you, it simply does not mean that someone else did not pay the price for it. Listen, if you believe that, I want you to give me some thumbs up in the chat. If you believe that although things may be free to you, someone had to pay the price for it. And when it comes to fashion, I want you to hear me close. It takes an effort to put a fit together and then to wear it with confidence. But what effort brings, that effort brings a reward that I believe cannot be put into words. When you put that outfit together and you have enough confidence, that it takes an effort to put it together and then an effort to have enough confidence to wear it, there's a reward that cannot be put into words. Sometimes it's just simply self-gratification. I've accomplished something and I'm gratified. Let's read a comment here. It simply says, this video is actually more serious than we think. Imagine how the black image would improve if we dressed with pride. Now, there are many people that would disagree with that, and some would say pride is relative to what you consider pride may not be what I consider pride, and there's some truth to that. But I think that this comment, it kind of opens the door for another conversation. Is how is it that we can change what others think about us simply by how we dress? It's another conversation. Now, I like how Tamar, in the next part of her post, she kind of pivots to be more instructional. Again, when the aim is to help, it is best to give instructions, a way to get there, so to speak, right? So she pivots here. She says, comb your hair. Instructions. Dust your face. Number 2, express yourself like a woman. Number 3. And number 4, show that you are ready. See, the last part of that statement says, show that you are ready. I just love that, because there's an age-old saying that goes, be ready so you don't have to get ready. Be ready so you don't have to get ready. Listen, my beautiful butterflies, you want to be ready. You may just be at the gas station and that young man is across at the other pump. Now, if you're wearing the right outfit, I guarantee he's going to ask, let me get that for you. That is the way that it goes. You'll get that attention. Like I said, sometimes the rewards, you can't put them into words. Just what happens just with a little bit of effort. So be ready so you don't have to get ready. So Tamar, then let's look at this, I think another comment I want to look at. Maybe. Yes. So we're going to get this comment here. Yes, I want to look at this. This comment says, I agree 100%. How you carry yourself, especially out in public, says a lot about how you feel about yourself. I believe that women should take care of ourselves by eating right, exercising, sleeping well, and looking presentable, because we take pride in ourselves. That way, a man who comes along can reap the benefits, because there are women who will only dress up to get a man, and then later, wait a minute. Let me read this again. Butterflies, come on, tell me this is not true. You don't do this. You don't only dress up to get a man, and then later she'll let herself go, and he'll start finding out how nasty. Say you're nasty, how nasty she really is. We don't want that to be, yes, drop the mic. We don't want that to be any of my beautiful butterflies. Again, the post starts out as dressing the part. Dressing the part. If you want to be a wife, dressing the part. Before you become one, dress the part. Let's look at another comment. Sean Biscayne says, in my mind, this actually makes it easier for decent sisters to stand out. Since so many dress bummy, are overweight, then this is a dig here, single mothers, I don't know what that has to do with it, and wear cheap lace fronts under cheaper bonnets, all most sisters need to do is not be overweight, a single mother, look presentable, and have a decent personality. You'd be doing better than the majority of sisters out here. Wow. Now, Sean Biscayne has an opinion, and some parts of that, let's take it for what it's worth. I always said, and I will continue to say, that being fashionable gives you an advantage. It does have something to do with how people think you are, what people think about you. Yes, it does have something to do. Yes, that's the guy that guy put some thought into that last post. I presume he put some thought into that, saying that, listen, if you are one of my butterflies who doesn't meet that particular type of criteria, I would still say to you, even if you are a single mom, even if you are a bit overweight or what have you, I still would say to you the same thing I'm saying to everyone else. If you dress fashionably, get into your closet, start to, listen, I will help you. All you have to do is go to our page, go to our website, HeSpokeFashionLive.com. If you go to our website and put in there for a counseling session, a consultation, I will you could just take me into FaceTime, or we could do a video conference, and you can show me your closet, and I will pick out at least 7 outfits for you that I know if you mix them in with your regular wardrobe, it will get you the attention and it will gain you an advantage. I dare you, I challenge you to trust me in this, and you will like the outcome that you have. Let's go on here. So I believe that Tamar, she tells her IG followers here to express yourself like a woman. My question is to you and those who are listening, does your expression show men who you really are? If you believe that your expression does that, then what I want you to do is I want you to put a 1 in the chat, right? Put a 1 in the chat if you feel like your expression shows men, specifically men, who you really are. So here's a comment from a user, Mayan King, that says, Black women show black men how they feel about us with their fitness level and attitude. Boo! Listen, Mayan King, I don't know about that one, but let's see. My fly guys out there, if you agree with that, if you agree that their expression with an attitude or fitness level, if you agree with that, then I want you to put a 2 in the chat. If you feel that when they express themselves, that's the expression that they show us, put a 2 in the chat. Let's move on. So, is this how you are expressing yourself as a woman? Oh. Wait. Oh my God. That's someone at the airport, get ready to get on board. And this is her expression at the airport.
Hey, bro.
This is her expression. Listen. I've been in the airport and I've seen this. I've seen it. I've seen worse. And let me tell you, to my women of color, let me give you my earnest plea. Just consider for a moment, as we alluded to in the beginning, there's a level of comfort that you can't cross. You remember, if you're out of your home, then you're no longer home. If you're out of your home, you're no longer home. And something that may be comfortable at home is inappropriate outside of your home. So there's a line that you shouldn't cross, and this is it. Hold up. Excuse me for interrupting your regularly scheduled program, but listen guys, if you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button down below. And if you're watching, if you're watching on Facebook, could you please hit like and share? It literally takes 2 seconds and it comes at no cost to you. All right? So go ahead and tell Lottie Dottie and everybody that we're live. Now back to our conversation. So since we have now dissected Tamar's post, I want to now, of course, again, it's my intent to always offer more help than harm. And so I want to offer you 3 tips to consider if you find yourself in the place where this post is really applicable to you. So let's start with 3 tips to consider. All right? Tip number 1. The first tip, that I want all my beautiful butterflies to consider. This is the first one that I want you to consider, is that you must identify the proper motivation. Yes, the proper motivation. Let me ask you a question. What is it that motivates you to always put your best foot forward, whether it is for fashion or for how you live your life? Now, if it is a who that motivates you, and let me ask you this question. What if that who is no longer in your life? See, this is the question we must ask ourselves when making people the catalyst for our motivation. So here is an example of what you can use to provide the proper motivation from Tamar. And this is from her IG post. She says, ladies, turn your humiliation into motivation. She says, I remember not feeling confident. I remember feeling sad about the blogs, always talking about my hair loss from stress. Guys, life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes your hair goes with it. I am so happy at where I am in life, a beautiful black woman with edges or without. And this is the post that she had, the photo. And I remember this time. I remember when she shaved her head and it was on the cover of all of these magazines and people were very critical of her. And she says, turn your humiliation into motivation. Have you ever been humiliated or felt humiliated? Maybe you were in a relationship and you found out that you were the only one in the relationship. The guy had moved on. You were the only one dating you. I'm sorry, I'm not making fun at your pain. But listen, take that and allow it to motivate you. That's what Tamar did. The second tip I hope you would consider is simply to remember you are an example. Simply put, you are an example. That's right, you. I know you don't think so, but you are an example. I was having a conversation with a colleague on yesterday. Shout out to Stephen. And he made the statement, most of the time, the younger generation looks at the older generation and says, they don't know what we're going through or what we're dealing with, and they don't understand us. My response to that was that is more than likely true. But however, if you realize that you are not an example for those who came before you, but those that are coming behind you. See, there's a term, and I want to introduce this term to you if you do not know of it. It's called Sankofa. Now I want you to type that word in the chat right now. Type the word Sankofa, S-A-N-K-O-F-A, Sankofa. The idea of Sankofa is that of looking behind you while at the same time moving forward. So if you do that, you'll realize that what you do today is at the same time touching those behind you and also impacting what is in front of you. So think about that for a moment. Sankofa. You want to make sure that you are an example, that you realize that you're an example to those who are coming behind you, and at the same time, you are impacting your future. Remember, you are an example. You. If we were in church, I'd say, touch your neighbor and say, neighbor, you are an example. Sankofa, you are an example. Listen, is she an example? That's a real person. Is she an example? Now, while she's doing her own thing, living her life like it's golden, she's an example. She's an example to her children, perhaps, or to that young, impressionable young lady who thinks the world of her. Let me ask you a question. Is this also an example? This an example? I mean, everyone was doing it, so why not? Is this an example? Oh, wait a minute. It's not an example. This is an expression that you show men. And now you wonder why he doesn't want to marry you. He just wants to have lovely relations. I digress. Let's get one more example. Selfie time. Yes, ready to post to IG. Now, what I find funny is the fact that I guess she's in the mirror. And that's her boo over with the flip-flops and socks on at the refrigerator, but she's posting this shot to IG. Yeah, in the building. All I'm saying is, listen, you're an example. Remember that you're an example. So I know you're thinking there's only one direction this pendulum swings, but it is not just one-sided, but it swings equally to the other side. Therefore, your example could be one that lacks fashion, as well as one that promotes the wrong things in fashion. But that is the perfect segue to tip number 3, which is simply set a standard. All right, this is what I want you to do. I want you to type the word standard into the chat, because I want to bring that word back into our community. So I want to see it echoed here in the chat. Let me see if you guys, I want to see the word standard in the chat. I want you to type that. The word standard. I think that we need to bring that word back into our community. Listen, I'm talking to us now. We need to bring that word back, because it's my belief that we have allowed the word judging to cancel the word standard. Listen, to me, in my opinion, that has done great damage to our community. See, I know we're talking about fashion, but every time we see something that doesn't agree with our standard, then they say we're judging, and therefore we stop having our standard because we don't want to be caught judging. But we're doing ourselves a disservice when we allow these things to continue, when we allow because you know what? It's only us. It's our community. It's our community they post up. And you ever realize that when it's a crime committed by a young black man, they put the picture in the paper, they put the picture online, but if it's anyone other than black, you only see the name and you see the picture of the victim. But our images have been distorted, and guess what we're doing? We continue to allow, but I think it's a great time to bring back a standard. And listen, set a standard for you. See, I had one person to agree with me earlier. Can you bring that comment back over? The one talked about a standard, talked about a standard. Yes. Says this video is actually more serious than we think. Imagine how the black image would improve if we dressed with pride. Listen, I'm not telling you that everyone has to dress in a blazer and slacks. I'm not telling you everyone has to dress with jeans and a sweater. No, what I'm telling you is that we need to bring back a standard. Do you remember when our community took pride in almost everything? When we went to church, there was such a sense of pride concerning how you dressed and how you dressed your children. My leader, a shout out to Bishop Clark Campbell, who just turned 90 years old yesterday. Happy birthday, Bishop. Happy belated birthday. Yes. But Bishop, he always shares how his father would take the time to shine his and his siblings' shoes for church. And then he said that he did the same thing for his children. And to hear from one of his sons that said he carried on that same tradition and does the same thing for his children. Listen, someone put in the chat pride. Yes, I know that this word has been kidnapped by another group, but if it's good for them, what's good for the goose, you know the rest. We might as well bring it back to our community. We need to have pride about the way we present ourselves. See, that is the old days of actually having a standard that, listen, I wish would return. So listen, let me help you here. In terms of fashion, your standard isn't what you do at your highest point. So you don't set your standard at your highest point, but what you do at your lowest point. So hear me close. You set a standard and say, no matter how low I get, I am never going to go beneath this standard. And then you do something that's very simple. You just stick to it. You just stick to the standard that you set. So don't look at your Sunday's best as your standard, but look at your casual Monday and make that your standard and say, I'm not gonna go below what I do on casual Monday in terms of fashion. Listen, I know everyone doesn't have it, but I'm so glad that I had examples of both examples growing up. I had often, I mentioned this often, David Purcell, shout out to David, as being an example of what it means to wear your Sunday's best as a man. But I also had Superintendent Larry Murray, shout out to Murray, as an example of what it meant. Yes, shout out to Larry as Superintendent Larry Murray down at Fellowship of Love, Church of God in Christ. But he was an example of what it meant to be fashionable in your every other day than Sunday fit. Now he was sharp on Sunday, but I remember like it was yesterday when Murray came over to see my father, and he pulled up in a white convertible Corvette. Yes, it may have been the T-top, I don't remember, but it was a beautiful car. And then he stepped out of that car with that fit that he had on. Oh my goodness. And I said to myself, as a young man, as a young teenager, I don't even think I was a teenager at the time, but I said to myself, when I get older, that is how I am going to dress, because the brother was sharp. Listen, that's an example. Remember I told you? Remember, you are an example. He didn't know the impression that he was making on me, but he made one, and I'm glad for it. Now moving on to my last tip. I hope you will consider this tip. And it is, was that 3? That was 3. That was 3, yes. So I do have one last tip, and it's not posted, but it's okay. This last tip is, I really want you to consider, following this channel, because we hope to not only inform you of what is going on in the world of fashion, but to advise you so that you won't be on the other end again of this post, as so many have found themselves. That's tip number 4. Follow this channel. Listen, we've had fun tonight. We've come to the end of our discussion. A great conversation. Listen, I don't believe that women have changed the fashion game for the worse yet. But unless we make some changes, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's my opinion. If you agree with me, put some thumbs up. And we have to right the wrong in our community so that we can get back on the right track. Listen, I've enjoyed myself tonight. I've enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed you being here as my special guest, as my co-host, so to speak. We're just having a conversation. But listen, I'm going to close with this tonight. And it's simply that in our community, we cannot afford to counsel everyone that is bold enough to say what is and what it is that needs to be said to benefit our community. So when someone says something that you don't agree with, ask yourself this question. Is this something that will help someone, even if I disagree with it, or even if I dislike the person who says it? Now, I'm going to make this warning. I want to warn you that you must be careful about who you counsel, because if you fail to show mercy when it's their turn, then you may reap what you sow when it's your turn. All right? Listen, this is HeSpoke Fashion. I've enjoyed this conversation, and that's all I have for you tonight. So I want you to have a good night, good fashion, and remember, He spoke fashion to you. Good night. Yeah, in the building.
He spoke fashion. I'm telling he spoke fashion. I'm so bad. He spoke fashion. I'm telling he spoke.